Hello everyone, my name is Tumo Tao, and that you guys just heard was called Electric Counterpoint. Electric Counterpoint is a minimalist composition written by American composer Steve Rich. The piece consists of 3 movements, fast, slow, and fast. The composer has offered 2 versions of the piece, one for electric guitar and tape. The tape part featuring 2 electric bass guitars and 7 electric guitars, and the other for an ensemble of guitar. And as you guys can tell already, for today's composer I will be talking about Steve Rich. Steve Rich was recently called our greatest living composer, America's greatest living composer, the most original musical thinker of our time, and among the great composers of the century. Mr. Rich's path has embraced not only aspects of Western classical music, but the structures, harmonies, and rhythms of non-Western and American music and jazz. There's just a handful of living composers who could legitimately claim to have altered the direction of musical history, and Steve Rich is one of them. Stephen Michael Rich was born on October 3rd, 1936. He was an American composer who, along with La Monte Young, Terry Riley, and Philip Glass, pioneered minimal music in the mid to late 1960s. Rich was born in New York City to the Broadway lyricist June Selman and Leonard Rich. When he was 1 year old, his parents divorced, and Rich divided his time between New York and California. He was given piano lessons as a child and describes growing up with the middle-class favorites, having no exposure to music written before 1750 or after 1900. At the age of 14, he began to study music in earnest, after hearing music from the Baroque period and earlier, as well as music of the 20th century. Rich studied drums with Roland Kohoff in order to play jazz. While attending Cornell University, he minored in music and graduated in 1957 with a bachelor's in philosophy. His music is characterized by strong steady pulse and strictly diatonic and tonal harmonies. He is typically grouped together with the other first-generation minimalist composers, like I said earlier, such as Philip Glass, La Monte Young, and more recently younger composers such as John Adams. The music is deeply American in its roots, with a pulse and short, repeating melodic figures often compared to rock and roll and bebop. However, like other minimalist composers, Rich's music is also largely influenced by extra-European forms and techniques, generally viewed as a response to the largely academic climate of new music in the 1950s and 60s. Rich's early works were created in the early 1960s at the San Francisco Tape Music Center. These tape pieces, such as It's Gonna Rain and Come Out, are the earliest examples of phasing, one of Rich's most used and most well-known techniques. Alright, let's have a listen.
Like open the bruise up and let some of the blues blood come out to show them. I had to like open the bruise up and let some of the blues blood come out to show them. I had to like open the bruise up and let some of the blues blood come out to show them. Come out to show them, 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 come out to
In this process, 2 tape loops are set into motion at 2 slightly different speeds, so that the tapes begin in unison and slowly shift out of phase, creating a new set of harmonies and rhythms. Now, this process was later incorporated into several pieces for traditional acoustic instruments or instruments and tape, such as in piano phase and violin phase. In addition to the initial process of phasing, Rich also introduces into violin phase the notion of found, or resulting, patterns, new melodic figures created from the overlapping voices of the original theme. So by saying that, let's now have listened to the later incorporated piece called Violin Phase. Alright, so after listening to that, it was a little bit different, but the repetitive idea is kind of still the same. But Rich's later music is characterized by a considerably faster harmonic rate of change and by more diverse, though still strictly diatonic harmonic language. Rich's combination of repetition and process creates a music full of vitality and energy. His strict tonal melodic style has brought Rich much critical acclaim, even in a general public that often is distrustful of new music. As such, Rich has, in many ways, led a charge toward establishing the accessible and almost anti-academic diatribe of the newest developments in contemporary music. Thank you for listening.